I was totally blown away. To be completely honest, I would walk out of the room and then I would come back and I would go back online and check the emails and check the Facebook just to make sure I hadn't jumped it. It took a few days to sink in. I've been walking on clouds ever since.
That's great. How did you get started writing?
I had this idea for a book, and I have been reading mysteries for a long time, but I'd never had an idea hit me. And so I always thought, well, that'd be cool to be a writer, but where's the idea come from? So there it was. In 2009, we had a series of homeless deaths in Anchorage in the summer, which is really strange because if the homeless people can make it through the winter in really harsh conditions, it's odd for them to be dying in the summer. And there was almost one a week for 12 weeks dying.
Wow.
And lots of people writing letters to the editors saying, we think there's a serial killer, do something about it. And the police would always respond to these letters with, well, the medical examiner said they all died of natural causes. So then about 3 years later, I was sitting in a continuing legal education course that I'm required to take because I'm a practicing member of the Bar Association. And these two lawyers were up there talking about a case they had, and they had to rush off to get an injunction against the medical examiner disposing of the remains of the gentleman whose death they were disputing. Because I did not know this, there's a little known law. It's in several jurisdictions that says a medical examiner can determine the cause of death without doing an autopsy, and he can dispose of the remains with 72 hours of making his determination if the remains are not claimed. So there I am sitting in this table with a bunch of other lawyers, and I slapped the table. The lady next to me happens to be knitting. She kind of startled, and I'm like, that's how I did it. That's the loophole. Because if the medical examiner in 2009 was declaring all these natural causes, he may not have been doing a medical exam. He might not have been doing an autopsy. He may have been just looking at him and thinking, it's a homeless person, a chronic alcoholic. He died of chronic alcoholism. And I thought that was a giant loophole, particularly if he was continuously disposing of the remains so that no one could go back and look and do an autopsy and test the remains to see whether or not there was a different cause.
Wow, very interesting. Now, could you talk a little bit about how you were first published?
Sure. It was a long road. I started with this idea and I shared it with a lawyer friend of mine. And she sent me these teeny little clippings back in the olden days when you actually wrote each other letters about another continual legal education workshop that was being held in San Diego. And it was all day, one day, and it was thriller writing for lawyers. So I could get my hours for my bar association, make them happy, and take this course. So I went down there, and in the afternoon, we all pitched our ideas. And the moderator, whose name I'm sorry, I forget, said, that has legs, go home and write it. And I went home and I wrote the whole thing and I saw there's holes. So then I started studying on how to write a better book and how to write mystery. And I think I have all the how-to manuals and they're really helpful. Hallie Efron's is the best, by the way. And then I started submitting to contests because Louise Penny, I sent Louise Penny a letter saying, would you read my book?
Oh, wow.
And she emailed back and said, I'm so sorry. I don't have the time to do that, but I recommend that you enter every contest. That's how she got her first book published. Actually, her first book, Still Life, was rejected 50 times before she won a contest in England, and she was picked up by a British agent, and it was published over there first and then over here. And now she's huge. So I entered the Pacific Northwest Writers Association unpublished literary contest, and I was shortlisted on that and for that book. And then meanwhile, I also sent them my second book and was shortlisted for that one. Then I heard about the Malice Domestic William F. Deek grant. And I heard about that from Hank Philippi Ryan had posted it on Facebook. So I applied for that and I won. I won with Cynthia Kuhn, who writes Lila McLean series, which I just love. Yeah, we won the same year, so we're like Malice twins. And from there, there's a grant. They actually give you money so you can study. Of course, Cynthia was an English professor. She doesn't need to study, but I did. So I went to Book Passage's Mystery Conference with that money, which is the best mystery writing conference you're going to find. It's in Corte Madera. You fly into San Francisco or Oakland, whatever your preference is, and go up there and do that. It's amazing. Then, of course, I was pitching and querying all over the place and eventually got a 3-book deal with Level Best.
Wow, great. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, I am a practicing attorney. I graduated law school May 29th, 1982, and I flew to Alaska the next day. And I've been practicing here ever since and lived here ever since. So that's a long time. 37 years?
What drew you to Alaska?
I had come up the summer before I graduated. I went to high school in Vacaville, California, and my best friend there was from Alaska, from Anchorage, and she went up as soon as she could, right after we got out of high school, and she kept sending me letters saying, "You gotta come, there's men up here."
That is true.
That explains where they went. So I came up the summer of 1981, and I just loved it. Even before I landed and met any of the people, just flying into this little city. It's a small city, Anchorage. It's about 250,000, maybe 280 now. Almost about that much then. And they had little sparkling downtown because the downtown was new, so they all new buildings. So they had all that mirrored siding where the clouds reflect off of it. I just was mesmerized with that. And then the mountains. Anchorage sits in a bowl. So you come flying in and you spent several hours flying over snow-capped mountains, and then you're surrounded by them. And I thought, this is it. This is the place I'm going. So I came up the next day after I graduated from law school.
I was there about 10 years ago, I guess, 12 years ago. And the one thing about Anchorage is it's a city, but it still has like a small town vibe to it.
Definitely.
You don't feel like you're in a city. I liked it there. I wouldn't want to live there. But I lived there.
She doesn't like the cold.
No, I don't like cold.
I dislike the heat more.
That's kind of how I am too. I would probably fit in Alaska very well.
But if it wasn't for World War II, I would have been raised in Alaska.
How's that?
My parents were ready to move to Alaska when the war broke out, and my father was all ready to go, but he got drafted, so they stayed on the East Coast.
Oh, man.
That would have been an experience, I imagine. I would have had to like the cold.
Now, we know you're coming to Malice. Are there any other events or books you'd like our listeners to know about?
Sure. Let's see. The next event, let me see. Here in Anchorage, I'm participating in the Beyond the Stacks Library Dinner and Auction, where we'll be auctioning off a character name for my next book to be published next year. That's going to be Hell and High Water. That'll be the third in the Maeve Malloy series. The second in the Maeve Malloy series was just released a couple months ago, and that's Hemlock Needle.
Very good.
Very good. Well, we're definitely looking forward to reading that and any of your other books. You're a very talented writer.
Oh, thank you so much.
Well, we certainly thank you for taking time to talk with us, and we wish you all the best, and we look forward to meeting you at Malice.
That will be a lot of fun. Yeah, I'll look for you.
We'll be
and
there.
look for me.
Yes,
yes,
we will.
Definitely, Keenan.
And we hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for having me. Okay, bye-bye.
Well, that was 3 very interesting authors, very diverse group of people.
Absolutely.
We ran a little bit long on this episode, but we don't want to cut anybody off, and we want to make sure you get to meet your favorite new author.
And we have a little selfish reason for doing this. We want to get to know these people too, so when we meet them at Malice,
we can fangirl out, because that's what we plan to do. So that wraps up our second Agatha's nomination show. We thank you for listening, and we have 3 more nominees on the next episode, and we hope you'll join us then.
Please visit our website at www.itwasadarkandstormybookclub.com. We have links to all of our episodes and show notes, which includes a little bit of extra information about all of our authors. So give that a shot and check us out. Check us out on our social media. Give us a tweet. Email us. Give us a shout out, however you can.
And don't forget our Patreon.
Well, that wraps it up. Remember,
life would be boring without a little mystery.
Bye.